Hey, good evening, everybody. And I am hugely honored to have Gemma return for a part two. Gemma's story is going to be a hard hitting, harrowing story talking about gang SA by grooming gangs and, obviously warning, get the kids out the room, that kind of a thing. Gemma is one of the most powerful speakers we've ever had on the channel. She's so charismatic and emotional. It's just absolutely mind blowing. So you've seen this Kier Starmer versus Boris Johnson. I'm sorry, Kier Starmer versus Elon Musk stuff all over the news, and it's made the grooming gang topic, become really viral right now all over the world. People looking at this, so it's the right time for Gemma to come back on and do this part two. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself briefly, Gemma. I've got something beeping in this room that I'm just going to turn off. But if you could just say a little bit, and I'll be.
So my name's Gemma. I go under the alias Bipolar Mum Journey. And the reason I'm telling my story on a public platform is to end the shame for all survivors of SA, because we internalise the shame after we've been SA'd, and we need to end that. And we also need to end grooming scandals up and down the country. How we've been treated at the hands of these groomers is awful. And we know it happens across the board. We know it happens across the world. But tonight we are highlighting these South Asian and Middle Eastern groomers operating in the UK and being covered up again. We've had the inquiry blocked, voted against, and let down again. Survivors' voices squashed again for us to sit in shame again. I'm not having it no more, Sean. Now, I was going to leave all of this for my book because I didn't want to come out on a public platform because I was worried about public perception regarding my grooming scandal. But I have to come out. I have to do it for all my kids, all the kids I class as mine across this country, and I've got to be a voice for them.
Yeah, and the politicians have enabled this culture. They've not gone after these monsters because of political correctness, etc. Yep. And it's stories like Gemma speaking out to shine this continuous light to get changes done in the system. So we salute you for that. Mm-hmm. Now, do you waive your anonymity to tell your story?
Yes, I waive my anonymity.
All right. Do you want to tell the viewers then? And a lot of people watching tonight, Gemma, have not previously heard your part one with us. Okay. That link I'll put in the description box. All of Gemma's links are in the description box. Please support her work. Do you want to just set the table and tell the viewers what was your life like as a kid before these horrors unfolded?
Stereotypical broken home. Both my parents suffered with addiction. My mum and dad lived in Manchester on and off and run gangland territory. They had links with the Quality Street gang, and then my mum was brutally SA'd at the hands of another gang from my side. It was one catastrophe after another. And that's it, really. That's the up and down of my childhood.
All right. So where were you living when this started to happen?
So I was living in Buxton, Derbyshire. Now, people don't think these grooming scandals happen in small towns, but it's happening across the country in every city and every town, but they are being covered up.
Right. And were you a student in school at this point? And what was your life like?
Yeah. So it all started, when you finish year 11 and you're in the midst of going to college. So it all started around that time. So it started we call it the 6-week holidays, the half term. And me and my friends used to hang out in a pizza parlour, me and my two friends in a pizza parlour called Spicy Kitchen in Buxton, Derbyshire. And it was on a place called the Marketplace. Now, there used to be a young lad in there, a Pakistani lad. He was 15 years old. I won't mention his name. And we used to just go in there and talk to him because he was a similar age to us, and he would talk us through his religion and what was expected of him and stuff. And because we lived in a predominantly white area, it was something new and something different to us. So we quite enjoyed it. And then we'd go in there and have chips, and they'd give us free chips. And then that was all right. And the elders never really approached us, the elders that worked in there. But then all of a sudden, these two older lads from Bradford started turning up in their Mondeo. Now, they must have been in their mid-20s, I'd say about 25, also Pakistani. And they used to come and just chat and then go and then come and chat, you know, every alternate weekends. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, do you want to come to Bradford? So I looked at my mates and I said, oh, should we go? And they, because they didn't come from a broken home, and even though I was street smart, I knew better. But because of the way this Pakistani lad was treating to me, he used to, like, you know, brush my face and do, like, touch my hair, and he would just spin me all these yarns. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going, you know. So I got in the car, bearing in mind Bradford is 2 hours away from Buxton, right? And now the first time he took me to HMV, and he bought me an Eternal CD, and then he would take me to McDonald's. He took me to some mall shops I can't remember. And he would do this on a regular basis for about a month or 2 months. And then he started taking me to all these little trap houses where he was dropping off drugs. And then I didn't substance. And I was thinking, okay, this is not what I thought you were. I thought you were just a nice lad. So the cracks started to show. Now, one time he said, I'm going to pick up a friend and drive you back, and you need to bring a friend out with you. So I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'll bring a friend. So I called my friend up and I said, oh, do you want to just come for a drive around the town? Now, I'll always kick myself for that, because I put my friend in a serious situation that night. Now, they gave us money to get alcohol, but because of their religion, they couldn't go in the shop and buy alcohol. So me and my friend would have to stand outside a shop called Bargain Booze and wait for white Englishmen to go in and buy us the alcohol. So they gave us the money for the alcohol, but they didn't buy it for us. Anyway, we got this alcohol from the shop, got back in the car. They drove us to a car park called Pavilion Gardens. And he said to me, you know, that alcohol, he turned to me and he goes, my mate's got to take your mate to the park, right? And I already knew it was a bad situation, yeah? And then he said to me, you know, that alcohol doesn't come for free, right? You know, all this stuff doesn't come for free. I want something, I want an intimacy act, right? And I knew I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway because I put myself in that position. And my mum always raised me, if it's easier to go along with it, then just go along with it. And I know that's terrible advice. You might think that's awful advice, but that's just how she raised me, and I don't want anyone to blame her.
How old were you, Gemma?
I was 16. Now, my friend had come back in the car, and it was obvious that his mate, this guy, his mate had essayed my friend. So I just wanted to get her safe, and they wanted to still drive around and stuff. And I said, no, let's go and drop my mate off, and I'll drive around with you, because I know she's got to get back. And I said, it'll just bring us on top. That's what I said, right? So we drove up to where my friend lived, and I dropped her off. I got her to safety. I put her in an awful position, and I hope if she's watching this, she knows that guilt I've carried that guilt for years. And I mean, she doesn't speak to me to this day because of it. And I'll be, sorry, I'm just mincing my words now, but I'll always regret it. I'll always regret it. Now, they took me to my mum's house and said, oh, well, let's come in and meet your mum. They've come into my house, right? And he's getting chirpsy with my mum, giving her all the chat. And he looked at his mate, like, gave him a nod. And he said, now, my mate's going to take your daughter upstairs. So the same guy that essayed my friend essayed me on the same night. And then after he'd finished doing what he was doing, I can't go into it, Sean, if you don't mind.
Of course,
but yeah. He essayed me, right? But I went upstairs with him. You know, I felt like I didn't have a choice. I've gone back downstairs. And, you know, we've just carried on talking. I just kind of made a joke and brushed it off, so I didn't want any animosity, right? They've then gone, and my mum said, Gemma, you know, they're grooming me. What he'd done is he'd give my mum substance, white. And he said, there's plenty more of that if you let us take your daughter. So she said to me, they're grooming you, Gemma. You need to get out, and they're grooming me. And now people keep saying, blaming my mum for it. But at the end of the day, my stepdad had just nearly unalived my mother, and he was in HMP Nottingham for doing this. So she was suffering from PTSD. And like I said, she said to me, if it's easier to go along with it, you know, I know people say, oh, if that was my daughter, I'd raised the roof. But two big Pakistani men coming in her house, you don't know if they've got a weapon. You don't know, you know, you just don't know. And when they communicate with each other, they communicate with each other in their language. It's not in English. So it's very traumatizing and it's very worrying, right? So anyway, we've got them out. In the process of all that, I've started to like back away from it a little bit. And then I got with an older boyfriend, again, predatory behavior. He was 27, I was 16, but I'm very grateful to him in some aspects. Now, I remember sitting on his stairs and this Pakistani lad from Bradford called me up on the phone and he was like, I need to pick you up. Now, my boyfriend saw that I was petrified and got on the phone and said, if you come to this town again, you know, you'll have me to deal with. So I never saw anything. I got the odd text in here and there off him, but I never really heard of him after that. So I got out before it got too bad, but there was occasions where I, you know, had to do certain things, intimacy things. I don't know the terminology for it on here, right? So that all happened. And then 6 months down the line, I'll just go into it again for people that don't know. I was at a party with friends. I left that party and I was grabbed off the street and dragged to a bedsit by two men. They marched me up the stairs into a little room. And then more men came from the adjoining room. These two men held me down and they took it in turns to hold me down. And every single one of them penetrated me. And I didn't think I was going to leave that room alive, Sean. I just didn't think in a million years I would get out of that room. But after it's all done and dusted, one of them's thrown my jeans at me and just said something. They were all talking in their own language. I couldn't understand a word they were saying, Sean. Anyway, he's thrown my jeans at me. He's grabbed me by my coat. I've just wrapped my coat around my shoulders. He's grabbed it and he's marched me down the stairs. And as he's marched me down the stairs, another guy from the bedsit has come out and said, what's going on? Because it's like you can hear the commotion of me trying to scuffle down the stairs, tripping over and stuff. They've ushered him back into his bedsit. And then they've grabbed me, marched me, they pushed me out of the main door, and then I'm free. I didn't care. I was free. So I was like scurrying down this cobbled path, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm free. The next thing I know, the car, right, is revving up next to me, yeah? He's gone, get in, get back in. And I'm like, I was just, I didn't even know what to do, Sean. So I'm screaming. I just started screaming at this point. And I started running. I was screaming and screaming and screaming. And I'm running up the street. And then he's just gone, vroom, and rev past me. And I thought, I need to just do you know what? I can't even remember how I got home, Sean. And it was about 15 minutes, but I ran all the way home. Now I got home and I just wanted to forget it because don't forget, I've already been in a similar situation with the grooming thing. And I just thought, just forget it. It's done with, it's dusted. I put all my clothes in a heap in the bathroom. Luckily, I didn't wash them. I got in the shower, showered myself, went to bed. I don't even know how I got to sleep. Now, I got up in the morning and I sat down and I was just going to leave it. And my mum goes, you all right, Gem? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Gemma, it's okay. Take your time out, Gemma. Take some deep breaths. Everyone's giving you love and support in the chat right now. You're very brave. You're very brave to speak out like this.
But everyone's blaming Mum. Please don't blame her because just don't. And she said to me, "What's wrong, Jemmy? Not yourself." And I said, I've been essaying. And she said, by who? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Sean.
No, it's all right. Just take your time. Your trauma's coming out. You're reliving it. This is a natural response. Don't feel bad. Just take your time, Gemma. Just have a breath. Have you got a water or anything to have a twig of?
And she rang the police, and the police have come out to me and interrogated me as if it were my fault. But I understand that, like I said before, I do understand it. And then they've interrogated me, I think, even 3 times short before they've left me house. But because there was no discrepancies in my story, they've gone. They believed me. They've gone to the bedsit, right? And they've all absconded. So there's the evidence. You don't abscond from something you've not done. And I'm glad they did, because if they hadn't done that, Sean, I don't think it'd have been investigated, because it would have been their word against mine. And there was multiple. I think there was 6. I can't fully remember. There could have been more. You'll have to look into the archives and get it up. But sorry, God, I feel dizzy. So they've gone there, they've absconded, right? And it was a big investigation. They had to put it on Crime Watch, because we didn't have social media and TikTok and all these apps and whatnot back then. So they've put it on Crime Watch, and they've managed to, I can't remember if they got them all, but they got the majority of them, right? Now, these guys were Iranian. That's where they were from. And they put them on remand, because of it. Oh, I had to go to a safe house where you get tested, and it were terrible, Sean, because my gynecologist was a man. So I had to, when they put, because they have to insert a spectrum into your private area to swab you, they found all DNA in there, multiple DNA. So luckily some of these had a database, some of them didn't. Anyway, they've got them all. It's took such a long time to get to trial, Sean. And then in the trial, the jury was made up. I think there was, now correct me, if you were on my jury and you're watching this, please come out. I don't mind. I think there was one white Englishman on there, and the majority of the jury were made up from ethnic minority backgrounds. So they were biased straight away. All they saw not only was classed, like the I say working class background, it wasn't, it was bottom of the barrel background, a daughter of 2 addicts, yeah, and then they saw me also as just a little white girl going against all these brown boys telling nasty lies. So I didn't stand a chance, Sean. I didn't stand a chance in that court case. Now, they brought all my friends in. They brought the guy that opened the door when they were pushing me down the stairs in. They brought him in. And if he wants to speak out, he can speak out. It happened on West Road in Buxton, Derbyshire. I'll tell you any details you want. They think it was a retaliation. Now listen, this is it, right? This is what I want to get to. Now, I mentioned to the police officers, yeah, that I'd gone along with my groomers. Now, I never went to the police over my groomers, Sean, because my Pakistani groomers, because I went willingly with them. So I always thought I've brought it on myself, right? You know, I put myself in that position because that's how they got in my head. So I never went to the police with them because I didn't class it as, SA against my will, right? And I've always stood by that. I mentioned to them that how the heck did they know that I was that particular party on that particular road, right? And my mum said, mention it to him, Gemma, that you were groomed. And I said it to the police, and they brushed it under the rug. They said, no, don't mention that because it'll squash your rape case. So I was silenced on it. Now, we'll never be able to prove if it was a retaliation essay attack, but in my mum's eyes it was, and in my eyes it was, for me leaving that grooming gang, right? Now, where are we now? So the court case, back to the court case. So yeah, they all got found not guilty because they said I agreed to it. That's what they all went and said, oh, she agreed to it, she agreed to it. So they all got found not guilty, Sean. Every single one of them. All them against little me. And I'm only 5 foot, Sean. And imagine how many feet tall I was at 16 years old. And when I was 16 years old, I looked about 11, Sean. No, I was 17 when I got gang essayed, sorry. So, but still, I still looked very, very young, Sean. And then, you know, where do I go from? From that, it ruined my childhood. I was on after the grooming scandal, I managed to get on a college course, right, for childcare college course, and I got a job as a teaching assistant working with kids with additional needs, right. I was flying, Sean, regardless of the grooming scandal. I was flying, right. But after all this happened, and after I was basically called a liar in court, well, that was it. I was angry. I had a family liaison officer, Sean, for 4 weeks. That's all he had. No counselling. I weren't offered any counselling. She came to see me for 4 weeks, helped me get my provisional driving licence, and that were it. Nothing else. So I was angry, Sean. And then that's when I went out on a night out with friends because I turned to drink. I was out every weekend drinking. There was a fight broke out in a pizza parlour. I've launched a milkshake bottle. It's hit a lad in the head. Boom. I've got a battery charge because he got me done for it. So then I've lost my childcare course because you can't work with kids after you've thrown something at a person. So then it just, that was it. It was the catalyst of my demise, Sean. One thing after another. Not only did I lose all my self-respect, the only person that stood by me was my manager at Coffee Beans Cafe, and I love her to death, and I hope she's watching this because she stood by me. She was there when the police interrogated me because it was only the first 3 times they interrogated me, Sean. They had to come back about 6 or 7 times and take different statements every time because anybody will know when you've been through an essay case, you are vilified yourself. You are questioned as though you are lying. And I do understand it. I do, but I do think it's got to change. So, you know, she was there when they came. She saw all the paperwork. She saw the Crime Watch. It wasn't a reconstruction or whatever you call it. A reenactment, sorry. It was just their pictures were put in a lineup. And do you know this person? And luckily, the community in London grassed them in. So thank you, whoever grassed them in, because they deserved it. And again, even in the court process, you have to say how they've penetrated you. Do you know what your private area is? Are you sure that's your private area? It's just insane. It's insane. So I think it took 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks, the court case. But again, you know, this is all part of this cover-up now. They don't want you to say anything, Sean. Oh, don't say this and don't say that and don't come out, and you're shamed. So not only are you told you're a liar in court, that you're told afterwards, oh, don't say anything, don't bring the shame on yourself. And then my community, unfortunately, my white counterparts all called me brown bait and blamed me for it. So I didn't stand a chance, Sean. Even my own friends dropped me. Like I said, the only person that stood by me was my manager at work and my work colleagues. So, you know, I was really let down by the society as a whole. So if you're watching this, people, stick up for your girls. Stick up for these girls against these groomers, because they don't bring it on themselves. They already are suffering. They come from broken homes. We all want a dad growing up. We all want a mum growing up, but some of us aren't that lucky, and we fall for these groomers because, trust me, I was streetwise growing up. I grew up in Manchester in gangland territory, Sean. Yeah? I was street smart, but he treated me like a princess, Sean. He showed me the look. Now, I knew my mum loved me, but she didn't show me. She didn't tell me. She never said, oh, I love you, Gemma. And she didn't show me. She loved me in her own weird way, you know. But he used to, like, touch me face, play with me hair, you know, like, grab me shoulder. Oh, gosh, he was such a smooth. But the turn, Sean, when he wants something, you ain't got a choice. You haven't got a choice. And this is happening in little towns like Buxton, Spicy Kitchen, Oliver's. Yes, I'm going to name the pizza parlours in Buxton. Food Spot, it's still open. Yeah, you need to protect your children across this country. And I've had men from Luton telling me, go on, girl, speak out, save our kids. Black men, white men, across the board. It's got to stop, Sean. These grooming gangs, Pakistani, South Asian, Iranian grooming gangs, all across the board, they need stopping. The cover-up must end, Sean. I've had enough. And I'm putting my neck on the line to speak out about this. Do you know the backlash I've had, Sean? Death threats, Sean, I've had from this. So how can you say I'm speaking out to peddle an agenda? I'm on my own. I don't need an entourage, Sean. I'm a warrior and a mother. Yeah? And I want safety for all of our kids against all perpetrators. If you're listening, leave our kids alone. Stop essaying us and stop essaying our kids. I've had enough. And I'm not going to be silenced anymore, Sean. I've had enough. Keep your kids safe. This country is becoming a mess. I don't know why people want to ruin it. I don't know why. In the churches, leave our kids alone. If we can't go to church and be safe, where can we be safe? I've had enough, Sean. I've had enough. Now, my life spiraled out of control after this. I went from one after bloody disaster to another. I've got in a toxic relationship, a string of them, right? One in particular, which I'll go into now. He beat me black and blue on a regular basis. He threw me on top of me 3-week-old baby. Nearly, I thought he'd unalived me baby. It got that bad that I ended up having to use a weapon against him and stab him multiple times, as you know, Sean. Then I've had my life taken from me again. He's took me child, whisked him off. No, I didn't know where he was. I've ended up working for a gangster, doing God knows what, right? I won't go into the details, but it weren't great. And then I go to prison. I get 2.5 years, which rightly so. I won't dispute that, because you can't go around stabbing people, but also you can't go around beating and brutalising women, because this is what happens. I was a woman that snapped. It was reactive abuse after years of torment, Sean, right? And there'll be women up and down the country watching this thinking, yeah, I nearly snapped. So I stand with you, girls. I know what it's like. And you'll be branded. Oh, yes, you'll be branded. Not by society. Well, yeah, by society, but not just by society, by the patriarchy as well. Because then you come out and they slap all these mental illness diagnoses on you, Sean, to shut you up, to squash your voice. Oh, no, it doesn't matter that I've been brutalised and SA'd multiple times growing up and then in domestic violence relationships. Oh, no, that doesn't matter. Just slap a diagnosis on it to shut her up. I've had enough. I've had enough, Sean. Society needs to change. The patriarchy, well, don't get me started on that. So then what happens, right? I get sent to prison, pregnant. Yes, I know, it wasn't ideal. But it happened, and he's here, and he's brilliant, and he's a shining light in my life, that boy. Now, I went to prison, and what happens again? Groomed again. I went to just give birth, milk leaking out of my breasts, Sean. I couldn't have been more vulnerable. I've just been through domestic violence relationship, a gang essay, a grooming scandal, dysfunctional parenting. The list is endless, right? I was a broken little person. And this screw, this prison officer saw that, and he preyed on it. He preyed on my vulnerability and took, again, what he shouldn't have done. And I had to be quiet, Sean, because I wanted to keep my baby. And I knew if I went to the SO, right, I'd have been blamed for it. And I weren't going to do that. I weren't going to put my baby at risk. So being the warrior I am, I took one for the team again. SA'd again. How many more women and men across this country are going to be brutalised and SA'd? I've had enough. Now I had to keep quiet, keep quiet. Oh, and what does he do? Rings me probation worker and tells me probation worker she doesn't want her early release. He's trying to keep me in prison with my baby. I don't want my early release. Anyway, I've got out. They've put me in a hostel. My probation worker, luckily, was female and saw through his tactics, right? So she's got my HDC and I've got out on electronic tag. Yeah? This monster is now turned up at my hostel, Sean, as you know. I said, what are you doing? I was exhausted. I said, what are you doing? Just leave, please, just leave. Anyway, I think he saw sense, right? And he left. And I didn't even tell my probation worker because I thought, how many more times can I go to the police and say I've been SA'd? Because they're not going to believe me. I mean, I've only ever been once. It was the gang essay. But I thought they're not going to believe me. They just think I'm some nut job, right? Because that's what we're branded by the patriarchy. If we say we've been essayed, they're like, she's lying, sticking a mental health diagnosis on her, right? Anyway, I've gone to probation. She goes, I just want to pull something up with you. She goes, I got this phone call off this prison officer saying you don't want your HDC. I said, that was it. I just broke. I said, yeah, there's a possibility I might be pregnant, because it was like four weeks out at this point. She goes, no way. I knew it. Anyway, she's marched me to the police station, but it was the London riots. Do you remember when that lad got shot in his car? What would it have been, 2011? 12? I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember, right? He got shot in his car by the police, unarmed man. I've gone to the police station, and he was too sidetracked with the riot. So he said, look, was it SA or the R word? Was it the R word, right? And I said, well, no, it was coercion, right? But I said, it's an abuse of power. He needs stopping. And I weren't the only girl. He was opening the flap on one of the other girls, right? He said, right, we'll look into it. Anyway, they've put him on leave, paid leave, mind, yeah, till it went to court, right? Luckily, he's admitted it. Now, I didn't go to court, Sean, and I'll kick myself forever, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't go through that again. I said, can you prosecute and go ahead with it in my absence, right? And they said, yeah. But unfortunately, he was able to talk himself out of it, right? And say, I seduced him. After I've just given birth, I've got milk leaking out my breasts, yeah? I seduced him. I told him we were soulmates. Oh, give it a rest. But turning all his narcissistic tactics onto me as if I did it all, right? He got away with a slap on the wrist. Now, listen to this. Listen to this, what they said. He is a stand-up member of society, and he gives talks in schools. Talks in schools around young girls? But he's working in the prison system, saying young girls. I was, 22 years old. And you've seen everybody go to my social media. You'll see how young I looked holding my baby in prison. So again, let down again. But again, I should have gone there. Yes, I should have gone. But it doesn't matter. They've put this woman in prison. Now, haven't they? This woman that's slept with an inmate. Oh, yeah. Put a woman in prison. Oh, and also, I'll just tell you this. They'll put a girl that lies about SA. Now, girls, you shouldn't lie about SA, and I'm very vocal about false accusations because I'm raising men and I'm with a man. And I won't stand up. I won't stand for false accusations. And I was in prison with girls that lied about SA and the R word, right? I won't stand for that either. But listen, you will put a girl in prison for false accusations, right? But you won't put a man in prison for committing SA and the R word. Do you see how backwards the system is? It's the patriarchy, women. Listen up. The patriarchy will, well, I can't say what I'm going to say, but they will F you every time. And then you'll come out damaged, broken at the hands of these monsters, and they will brand you bipolar, you a sociopath, you a psychopath. It's got to stop. We need change. Now, yes, we've got Me Too and all that, but listen, it's men and women across the country. I'm not here just for me women. I'm here for me men and as well that have been SA'd as kids at the hands of their fathers. I am here for everyone that's been SA'd against their will. And I'm here to tell you, you mustn't carry this shame anymore. It's not your shame to carry, guys. It's the perpetrator's shame to carry. Now, you hold your heads up. I've been SA'd more times than I've had hot dinners. So's me mum. Me auntie, me poor auntie, 16 years old, Sean, yeah? Taken against her will, dragged to a secluded area, SA'd by a man, right? His name's on the internet. Look him up. He's out of prison now, walking the streets, would you believe? He SA'd her, or word, her, right? Beat her to a pulp. She was breathing, Sean. If he'd have left her, yes, it would have been horrific, but she would have lived. He weren't happy with that, so he set her on fire, alive, stamped on her face to cover up her identity. My auntie, 16 years old, again, by a perpetrator. My whole family have been SA'd, Sean, apart from my daughter, I hope. Come on, stop SA'ing us. Are you listening? Stop it. Leave us alone. We're sick of it. We are sick of it. And, you know, I've got girls reaching out to me, Sean, saying, I feel like you're my mum. I am your mum, girls. and boys, I am your mum. I'll be your virtual mum. I'm here for you. I'll be your voice. I've had enough. And I don't want anybody putting me on anybody's bandwagon. I'm on my own, Sean. This is my movement, Gemma's movement. It's called the Mum Movement. That's what it's going to be called. I've had enough. And I'm standing up for everyone that's been essayed. Oh, I need a break, Sean.
Yep, take some deep breaths. Let me put Gemma's links in the description box. She's got a link tree. I'm just going to put it to the live chat. Gemma's got a YouTube channel amongst the socials, so please go and subscribe. And this is part 2 with Gemma. If you missed part 1, I will put the link to part 1 in the chat as well. We've got a very expanded, detailed version in part 1. And what happened to your aunt, Gemma, who was set on fire?
Well, she died. Oh, unalived.
Oh, my God. Oh,
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
she lost her life. Lost her life.
And what happened to the guy who did it?
I don't know how long he got. He did get sent to prison, luckily, but he's out now. Oh, is that Jen? Hiya, Jen. Love you, Jen.
He's out now. How long did he serve?
I'm not sure. It's on the internet. I'll have to do the details. But I remember when he was getting out, my stepdad was in bits, Sean. And now my stepdad has unalived himself. I can't remember if it was around her birthday or the anniversary. And that was 2 years ago. And then my mum was brokenhearted, even though she had a new boyfriend. You know, and even though he beat her up, Sean, he did. My stepdad, he nearly unalived her on multiple occasions now. But I still loved him. It's one of them trauma bond. I can't help it. I still love the guy, right? But I did send him to prison for nearly unaliving her. Oh, it's one horror after another. I'm sorry, guys. So he unalived himself. And then my mum, she had a broken heart over it, right? So now she's unalived herself. Well, the overdose, so it's a suspected unaliving, right? But I went to my mum's house after she'd done it and I found a load of notes in her handbag, Sean, and they're all on my social media if you want to go and look. My dad's prison letters are on my social media. The proof of my essay is on my social media. All proof is on my social media. Oh, because when it's all right to be a guy on your chat, no offense, Sean, but it's all right to be a guy on your channel talking out about crime, yeah? He's put on a pedestal. But a woman talking about crime, oh, she's branded a whack job. Well, I'm sorry, but the reason we lean into crime is because we've been brutalised at the hands of monsters. Now, I don't want to contribute to anti-men culture because I've got some good men in my life, and you, Sean, are one of them. You could have really exploited me when I told you my story and peddled an agenda, and you didn't. And we were panicking around the terminology of the race of my perpetrators, and we both said, let's not mention it because we were both worried about public perception, but not no more. Not no more. I'm not having it anymore.
Good on you. All right, so there was a detail.
Go on.
I remember last time with the Iranians. Didn't someone document something, and that documentation was found?
Yes. Right. So they all absconded to London, and I can't remember if there was some in Manchester. I can't flipping remember. He'd written a letter to his father in Iran, right? Saying listen, it was enough not to incriminate himself, but it was enough to say that he needed help and he needed money. Now they had the rumor was they had now the royal family was squashed in Iran in the 1980s, but there was some kind of connection there, some kind of royal ties and money, or royal money or something, high up money, right? So one of these fathers was high up. And so that was the letter. But still, even with all that evidence, Sean, they still got found not guilty. But their barristers, Sean, were top notch, mate. Absolutely top notch. They absolutely annihilated me, Sean. I didn't stand a chance. They interrogated me. And I tell you what went against me now, right, guys? One of these barristers said to me, has he got bald? Is he bald with hair? And my back was already up from being branded a liar. So I goes, what do you mean is he bald with hair? Either you're bald or you've got hair. But what I didn't know is he meant a bald patch and then hair around the side. So then the whole jury burst out laughing because I know I'm a naturally funny person, Sean. I can't help it. It's my accent. It's the way I portray myself. But that's how I've got through my trauma. So then the jury burst out laughing. It's as if I'm making a joke. But I was angry. I was saying, how can you be bald with hair? So then that went against me. Oh, there was all sorts that went against me, Sean. But I was a little girl, Sean. And they said to me, you've got the choice of video link or going behind the curtain. Anyone that's been through an essay case or in a court case, you know you've got the curtain to cover the victim box, right? So I said, I want to do a video link. But they said, no, it'd be more powerful if you do it with them. My perpetrators all lined up. Now, one of them kept shouting out and he did get in trouble for it. So I could hear his voice. Can you imagine how traumatic that was for me, Sean? And anybody, if you're in my court case and you want to come forward, come forward. You're more than welcome to come forward. No, not my perpetrators, obviously. I don't want to ever see them again. But, you know, if any of the details you think are you were in the jury and I've got, you know, the amount of people that were there wrong or whatever, just come forward. I've got nothing to hide. Buxton, it happened. Buxton Police Station is where it was logged. It went to Derby Crown Court. I can't remember the year. It happened in 2005. It was logged in 2005. Now, it could have gone to court in 2005. It could have done, because I gave birth in 2006 to my son, so it must have gone to court in 2005. So all of this proof's out there.
All right, well, you've had loads of questions come in.
Yeah.
So Truth Teller wants to know if your friend ever reported her essay. That was the friend in the very beginning.
She didn't, because again, she probably thought we went there of her own free will, and she'll know who she is. And I hope she accepts my apologies. I know that's minimal. I owe her my life, to be honest, because I should have never put her in that position. And I know I didn't know any different. I was a kid and whatever, and I didn't know that was going to happen. But still, I mean, I'm sure she's carrying some trauma for it, and she won't have spoken out because it was shameful. She would have been branded as brown bait and stuff by the community, so she probably didn't come out about it.
And again, I'm putting Gemma's links in the live chat. So if you've got questions for Gemma, now you've got a unique opportunity while we're live. So Lights wants to know, Gem, do you know any of the other survivors?
Now, people are reaching out to me. I've got an inbox full and I'm trying to get through every single survivor's message, but a lot of them don't want to come public, but I've got a couple that do. So watch this space, right? Spicy Kitchen was also flagged up to the police on multiple occasions, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. Now, Spicy Kitchen was flagged up by the care system, right? Because they were getting these girls from the care system, right? And the police said, oh, there's nothing we can do about it if they're going willingly. There's nothing we can do about it. Again, right. Part of the cover-up.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one. Truth Teller, Gemma, do you feel this is still happening on an industrial level?
Of course. Yes, of course it's happening. Of course it's happening. It'll never end. It'll never end. And it'll always be swept under the rug because we don't want to be seen as racist. Get a grip.
So, okay. Monica is asking, when you were pregnant in prison, that was your ex-boyfriend, wasn't it? They're asking who that was. That was your ex-boyfriend who tried to kill you.
No. So in the process of being on bail, I know it doesn't sound great, but I met another guy and ended up in a whirlwind relationship and ended up pregnant very quickly. But we are still together 16 years down the line, 3 kids deep, lovely home, look.
Good.
So it was a success story. Yeah, so we've been together 16 years.
All right, question from Polly. Do you think the government, police or councils will ever uncover this? Because it seems much deeper than I originally thought.
I don't think they will, Sean. And I'm going to get as many people as I can to speak out. But all we can do now as a society is keep our children safe. And, you know, if you see some underprivileged kids, folks, just give them the time of day. Make them feel like they're human so they don't lean into these grooming gangs. If you're at school with any of these underprivileged kids that come from the care system, please have a heart. Give them the time of day. Because that's all they want is just to know that they are a human and they are worth something, because they are. They're worth something to me. Reach out to me. I'll be there for you. But kids, please back each other, man. You need to support each other.
So this question from Steph, a lot of people are asking, what can we do? How can we protect the kids? How can we help?
Do you know what, guys? Just be a strong, solid parent for your kids. And just provide a lovely environment for them so they don't feel that they have to lean into the streets or these grooming gangs. Now I'm talking grooming gangs across the board. You know, when you have a child, I'm sorry to say, but your life stops. And I don't care what anybody says. They say, oh, you know, you've got to take time for yourself. No, you put every ounce of energy you've got into your kids. Your kids come first, right? And that's the only way you're going to keep them out of these pizza parlors, off license, clothes shops, because let's be honest, it's happening in everywhere. You see these cheap tacky clothes shops up and down the high streets. It's happening in there as well. Oh yes, I've got stories and I'll be coming out with it all.
Yeah, that's what this next question, asking about all the different fronts.
Okay.
So you're familiar with the variety of fronts, businesses.
Yeah. Now, we can't brand all pizza parlours this way because I know some very nice pizza parlours who are family orientated, right? But I think when you know, right? So you just got to keep your kids out of these takeaways and these cheap clothes shops, because now I know girls have been going in and doing favours for an outfit. What else have we got? Off licenses, you know. You've just got to safeguard your kids, man. I don't know what else to say.
So Pierre says, wow, I'm a survivor and you are giving me the strength I didn't even know I needed.
Good.
And then Pierre's got this question. How have you moved on and secured a good life? Love you, Gemma.
Oh, gosh. How have I moved on? Sean, I don't think I did until I started talking about it. I told you, didn't I? For many, many years, even when I got out of prison, right, I still turned to a bit of crime. I was still a bit naughty, guys, yeah? Even though I had 2 kids, I was still leaning into gangland territory, right? But then I moved area and I broke free from it again. And I just thought, what can I do? Now, I did have a year of forensic counselling. Now, it did help me. Counselling does help you now. I know you can't get it, but I'm working with a woman at the moment and we are putting together, hopefully, some kind of support system for survivors, right? Because there's not enough help out there, Sean. So we're looking into that and I'll keep you posted with all of that. And I know a lot of people trust me now because they can see my strength. They can relate to me because I'm very honest. You know, I've got for detail of how I was penetrated and whatnot on certain platforms, right? So how did I build back? Self-love. You've got to love yourself and you've got to just get rid of the guilt and the shame. You just have to. You have to. And you have to speak about it. If you've got somebody you can trust, speak to them about it. It's the only way. You can't internalize it, or you've got to get it off your chest. Speak to your partner, not your kids. My mum spoke to me about it and she shouldn't have done. Now, here's another story for you. Are you ready, or is it too brutal?
No, go for it.
Right. So my mother, obviously she was gang essayed by a gang from Mossad, yeah? And they know who they are. Then she was brutalised by a man she thought she could trust. He brutalised her, essayed her with an open bottle, Sean, nearly killed her, nearly unalived her, sorry. And this was someone she thought she could trust. Now, my mum had to make a joke of this, and this is what we're taught as women, brush it off, right? And she used to say, he did a Fatty Arbuckle on me. You know who Fatty Arbuckle is, don't you?
No.
If you don't know, research him, yeah? And that's what she used to say to me, Sean. It's like, you've got to stop brutalising us as women. And then you want to go and say, oh, this woman's crazy, this woman's crazy. Well, you want to know why? You want to know why? Goodness me. Anyway, more questions. Sorry.
Got a question from Vanessa. Firstly, my heart really goes out to you big time. What would you have done different when that first happened to you?
What, the grooming?
Yeah, and in the beginning of your story, they're asking if you could have done anything differently to get away
not
from
gone
it.
not gone in that pizza parlor. I was an idiot. I should have never have gone in there. Never. Or I should have gone in, got my chips and gone out. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, but you were only 16 at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, I was 16. But I knew, I did know better. I should have known better. But no, I can't say that. I can't, because that's me blaming myself again. And to be fair, Sean, they should have known better, and they should have just let us have his chips in there and left us alone. But yeah, they groomed us, yeah.
You can't blame yourself. So
No,
Jenny,
and I think I do.
Jenny wants to know, would you ever write a book on your horrific experience?
Yeah, the book's in process, as Sean knows. I've been writing the book for a while, and that's why I came out with my story, because I thought that I'm causing myself a lot of trauma writing this book, triggering myself no end. But I thought, let me see if people would be interested in reading it. So let me get my story out and see if I can eradicate the shame for other survivors in the process. And now look where we are. It's something's happening, Sean, out of my hands,
Yeah.
So the book's in process.
It's really in the spotlight right now, folks. If people are not aware, Elon Musk has been calling out the UK government, their complicity and enabling this culture and these monsters, not getting prosecuted in the full force of the law. So they're really under pressure right now, which is a good thing, to remedy this heinous situation. All right, so this one's from Vanessa. Hi, Gemma. Do you think this problem is worse nowadays or just noticed and highlighted more? Why do you think people just don't want to listen when you first talk to them about it?
I think it's always been bad, Sean, but the girls don't want to come forward because of how we're treated if we do go near these South Asians. So it's always been bad. It's always been bad. It's just now, like you say, it's been highlighted more, but it's always been bad. I've got stories that go back from the 70s and 80s regarding these Pakistani grooming gangs. So it's been going on since then, and probably before then. So as soon as they started entering, England, I guess.
When you say you've got stories, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I've got stories from survivors in my inbox, but I can't tell them they're not my stories to tell. But they go way back to the 70s.
Got you. All right. So Lynn's saying, what could a social worker do to help the children more in your eyes?
I honestly don't know, because social workers are flagging these places up to the police, and the police are covering them up. Now I'm in touch with multiple social workers and care staff, and they have said to me, we keep flagging it up with the police and the police won't do anything about it. So what can social workers do? And I honestly don't know. If there was hundreds of me to go around, I'll tell you now, kids across the country will be getting healed, because I can connect with kids because I've been through it, and kids absolutely love me, right? I have a house full of kids on a regular basis, and my partner's a grassroots kid, so my house is full of kids. You've got to be on a level. We need more people with lived experiences, working. You've got to give more people with a criminal record a chance. Now, I understand, that might sound horrendous, but unless you let more people work in the system with lived experiences, nothing's going to change. And now, get on this, right? I've got a good friend. His name's Wesley Cunliffe, and if you don't know who he is, get to know. He's an anti-knife crime advocate and a child exploitation advocate, right?
Yeah.
And in all my time, nobody has ever asked me how I was let down in my SA case. And he asked me. And I had a bit of a meltdown on social media the other day. And who was the first person to ring me? Wesley Cunliffe. And I broke down on him, Sean. And you know why? Because he knew exactly how to go about it. He knew exactly how to teach me. And right there, in that very moment, I was a 16, 17-year-old girl in floods of tears on the phone to this man. Now we need more people like Wesley Cunliffe and myself running these webinars and seminars and getting in schools and helping these kids. More real people. Kids recognise real. My daughter had 2 coppers, I've got my own view on the police, right? I had 2 coppers come in and do an anti-knife crime seminar, in school, using words like pussy and all that. My daughter thought they were a couple of wet wipes. The whole class was laughing at him. We don't want to hear from police. We're not interested in the police. We need people with lived experiences. So that's the only way You got to change things. Yeah. Let more people in with lived experiences.
All right, let me go to the next question. And yeah, we've got Gemma's part 1 pinned at the top of my Twitter, and I've copied Elon Musk in. So yeah, Gemma's story definitely needs to go to Elon Musk. So if you're on X, please give it a retweet. Lady Warrior, do you think the police are being paid off?
Oh, I couldn't say. But I think what it is the police. Right. Well, you've heard of Sarah Everard, haven't you? You've heard of that monster that unalived her, haven't you? And his WhatsApp chats. Yeah. So you can imagine what the police WhatsApp chats are like, can't you? I wouldn't be surprised if they're involved, half of them, with these grooming gangs. They're as bad. The police are as bad. And I don't care what anybody says. Police are as bad. Biggest gang in England.
Truth tellers saying, did this horrendous crime make you feel like you wanted to unalive yourself?
I did. I've tried. I don't know if you can see that. I've tried. Oh, straight down there.
Yeah.
Tried both wrists. I've tried. Of course it did.
All right. Looks like we've got through all of the questions then. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the viewers?
Just look after your kids and give kids a chance. Yeah. Kids, now you've got to stick together, right? And be each other's backbone, because the police won't help you. The criminal justice system will let you down. And if you're a female, the system will squash your voice and they'll slap a mental illness on you. That's it.
And please support Gemma at her links. I've put them all in the live chat and they're in the description box. And also, I've put Gemma's part 1 down there as well. So please share it. Try and get it to Elon. Let's raise awareness, folks, because it's absolutely sickening that this is just ongoing and the cops aren't doing anything about it because they're so woke and politically correct, and it's going to cause offense.
Stop these Pakistani grooming gangs. Stop these Iranian grooming gangs. Stop these. They're even Turkish grooming gangs, yeah? It's all of them. Stop. Go and see to your own women. Leave us alone.
So links are in the description box. Huge thank you to Gemma for sharing a story, and take care, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Protect the kids. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.